Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to, it's already raining, it's already I can't be arsed. As I was about to say before that depressing sight met my eyes, welcome back to the F1 Road to Glory series for 2020 for episode number 5 today for the Spanish Grand Prix. Yes, we plow on even further into the season. I think at this point, we honestly might finish the virtual 2020 season here in F1 Road to Glory before the actual 2020 season begins, and that will be a little bit embarrassing for Formula 1, I can't lie. But we move, as last time out, the only other team that finished the race, apart from us at Williams, are the team that you can see on your screen right now. And as we go across the line, look at that, the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 2-minute 01.276. That is pretty damn tasty. Two people have just crashed under the safety car. How do you actually physically crash? There's only 3 runners. There's only 3 Every person who's finishing this race is on the podium. So we now come to the Spanish Grand Prix, the start of the European portion of this season, and that is sending scientists quaking in their boots that we're actually attempting this and going into the heart of all our issues here in 2020 to go racing. But that is obviously what we can do here. Miracles just keep on coming with the Road to Glory series. Maybe there might be more. Maybe another win and 2 finishes after. I really hope not. That would be kind of a bit too much. But finally though, after 4 episodes of waiting, we are going to have some actual big juicy upgrades on the car here today. And unfortunately, that is where the first bit of bad news crops up for us, because we have our very first failure of the season here. Now, usually that would trigger me to have Jeff's head on the chopping block, ready to insult him to no end here for a good straight minute, but you know what? I'm not going to. And this is why, because you've got to look at the bigger picture, because with the 2 upgrades we actually did successfully install onto the car for this race, we are now technically the fastest team on paper for the very first time in the F1 Road to Glory series. I think. There might have been a moment in Season 2, potentially. I can't really remember. It's a while ago. If it was, it clearly wasn't very memorable, but I'm going to say this is the first time we have been the best team theoretically on paper. Obviously, we know in reality things are different. The reason why our car is so good on paper is because of our engine performance compared to everyone else versus our aero and chassis. But it's there. Williams on top of the pile for the very first time in what feels like about 50 years at this point. So I think you'll agree, this coupled with the win and the momentum we got from such a crazy hectic race last time out, the vibe is very, very positive. Oh, I forgot it was raining. That's ruined it. That's ruined my mood. That's given me clinical depression there. Rain forecast for the end of Sunday. That could ruin everything. We could be winning the race up until then, and then this car will, well, it won't turn into a boat, because a boat would be useful in the rain. It will just turn in, well, what's useless in water? Giraffe. It will turn into a giraffe in water. Yeah, that's the joke I'm sticking with. It was a horrendous one. Let's move on. It's time to do the business on Saturday. It's all dry here. A bit overcast, though, so maybe the track a little bit cold, but at the moment you can see plowing towards turn 1 in P1 with the engine power. But now let's see what the downforce will be like. We have compromised the setup a little bit to try and give myself a bit more downforce on the front and rear in terms of the wing setups, but it seems like that's not really working too much for us as we go through turn 3 and lose 5 positions down to P5. You can see the Ghost car there, only just ahead of us though, so it's quite close. But by the time we get through to sector 3, we're down to P11 to 12. What on earth is going on here? We have just had 2 massive upgrades on the car. We should be going forwards on paper with the best team on the grid, but this car at the moment, through sector 3 at least, had the front end of a shopping trolley with the rear tyres stuck when you're off at Tesco trying to buy all that pasta for quarantine. We go across the line, it's P14.
Sorry about that. Just wasn't our day.
You're sorry about that, Jeff. You're sorry about that. So this is your fault then. I should have had your head on the chopping block. What on earth went on? Did we build the wrong car? Did we come here with Season 2's Williams underneath the skin? What went on? P10 for Gasly. Fair enough, he did better, but not that much better in terms of, it was actually quite close in the midfield there in terms of the lap times. But P10 and 14 from the quote-unquote best car on the... Look, listen, look, engineers back at the factory, personnel everywhere, PR team, and Claire Williams. Listen, if I'm hyping up the team at the start of the episode by being the best car on the grid, you can't then fail me in qualifying then and show me up, okay? The team better hope the entire grid's about to be wiped out here in the race, because this is gonna now be a major fight back for anything near what we achieved last episode.
We're not starting where we wanted. We'll need to fight our way up the grid today.
And whose fault is that, Jeff? Really, if we really think about it, whose fault is that? Anyway, we move through onto the grid on Sunday. Strategy-wise, it's going to be a one-stop, but obviously the rain will pose a threat. You know, we've got those 3 droplet indicators right at the end there, so that indicates inters and to full wet. So, will that mean potentially a few laps of inters at the end of it? I think it might do, to be honest here. So, tyre wear usually has got a bit of an issue here at Spain. You know, the soft tyres don't go very long, so maybe this time won't be much of an issue. We can maybe pit earlier and not have to worry, obviously, about stretching the second stint, because we will be pitting again for the wet tyres. So that might make our lives a little bit easier, but then I'm not looking forward to actually driving this car in the wet. But that is just a problem I'm going to leave to future me to figure out at the end of this Grand Prix, because here we go then to 5 red lights to the Spanish Grand Prix in 2020. The lights are out. We're underway. It's an okay start for us. It's a very poor one from Raikkonen there. Norris gets caught up having to move around Raikkonen. That allows us to get the jump on our fellow Brit. We close up with Ricciardo in the slipstream. Gasly's gone for a massive dive bomb there of 2-3 cars there. My teammate absolutely sent it to the inside there. Going to take some inspiration maybe. Oh, there's a car off. Virtual safety car is out here. It's not the full one, and it's Sebastian Vettel. That's huge news for us. Sebastian Vettel, the championship leader, the only man stopping us from being at the top of the standings, is out of the Spanish Grand Prix very early on. That is massive news for us. So, look, we could have a calamity in the rain later on, and I think we're good, because as long as we score a couple of points, we're decent. But that's the race start then. Replay showing Gasly with a massive dive, but this is what happened to Sebastian Vettel. His front right sheared off with the contact with the ripple. That looked like a very Sebastian Vettel sort of crash, I can't lie. Sorry to any Vettel fans out there in the comments, but this does look like a very Vettel sort of insight. I could picture this sort of happening to him in real life in terms of the way that camera angle was off-board. Very much so. But also a replay here. Look at this. Gasly gets 1, 2, 3, 4 cars he tries to get. Massive balls there, and cojones on the Frenchman there. Can't quite get the Mercedes car, but he gets a good view of the Vettel going out there. But massive sends there for Gasly. So can we try and maybe take inspiration and try and do a bit of our own sending here on the restart of the virtual safety car? We're going to go to the inside very cheekily, down the inside of Dan Ricciardo there, side by side with the Aussie man. He forced us out, and well, there's no way to put it. I just said screw you and just overtook him off track. I'm not going to lie, there's no other way I can spin that, but the FI didn't really care too much. So, as usual, Williams charity paying off big time in Formula 1. Meanwhile, Hamilton in the pink Mercedes, Racing Point car, gets a little bit of contact there with the Red Bull. I think the end plate has indeed come off the front right there for the Brits, so he will have some massive understeer through his next right-hander, I would imagine there. And there is the man he swapped places with, Sergio Perez in the Mercedes car, trying to make it. Oh no, it's 3 wide. Look at that, the Haas out of nowhere. It was 3 wide between Perez, Gasly, and the Haas. The Haas has come out of nowhere to overtake both of them there. Stonking stuff, I've got to say, as we now close up in P11. We've all closed up due to that fight there, so this is where the action gets a little bit tasty here, because now we can try and get in the mix and get into the points here today. But Albon there squeezed out. I think it was Perez though that was the one that was trying to make the 3 wide work there, but just nuts stuff from the Haas here. But here we go now on Raikkonen. It's a late move on the Iceman there. I think he's gone bird watching for some reason on that corner, because I don't know what that was. He was so slow into the brake zone there. Just caught him napping up into P10. And Bob's your uncle. Don't ask me why he's your uncle. It's just a saying. But here we go now. Some more very tasty action here. Perez versus Hamilton. Mercedes versus the B-Spec Mercedes. And Perez will go round the outside in the Silver Arrow and get Hamilton very easily. You can see very much so that damage there from that angle into turn 1. And look at that now. Gasly down the inside. Hamilton so wide. And the McLaren surely of Carlos Sainz will also get that to the inside. And Hamilton's got all wayward and out of shape. More contact made with the Spaniard. Albon slow. And we make the double pass to the inside. What a move there. Just saw that coming. Hamilton going wide. Albon for some reason was following him. And so we just thought I'll nip it to the inside on the right there. Get the inside line. Easy does it, and we're up the position into P8, and now we go chasing after the home favourite Carlos Sainz, but he's got more pressing matters at hand. He's got my teammate to overtake. We've got an overheating engine, so that's why we go down to lean mixture to try and save the engine temps, but meanwhile we watch on. Gasly just gets squeezed out quite decently, actually. That's a pretty decent move there from Sainz to get up into P6, and you can see a little bit of a wobble on the rear end as we hit some dirty air with Pierre, but this is the first real time that myself and Gasly have been on the same bit of tarmac, and we've kind of consistently stayed together on the track. It's either kind of been us flying past each other or the other, or just not at all really, but you can see Gasly with a very aggressive move there on Sainz. That was really nice to see his AI just kind of, you know, shimmy a little bit to the right and then fake it and then go left there to get the move done there. So lovely stuff. A lot of great action so far in the Spanish Grand Prix. Only 5 laps have gone by, and we've had so much racing action compared to, well, Baku. Well, Baku was just, you know, action in a different kind of sense. But as we tried to go to the inside of Carlos Sainz, we may have just had an issue there and met the fate of many drivers at Baku if we kept our nose in down the inside there. Alas, we did not, thankfully, and we're going to maintain the P8, but we're closing up. We're trying to line up a pass on the exit here, or we would. Oh, the virtual safety car ruins everything there. I was literally that was a definite overtake. There was no debate. That would have been an overtake, but the virtual safety car's ruined it. Although that will allow us to make a pit stop here. I say box in this lap, and we're going to come in under the virtual safety car. Although unfortunately, the virtual safety car pretty much ends right about now as I enter the pit lane. So I maybe only had about maybe 2-3 seconds of being in the pit lane whilst everyone else was under that virtual safety car speeding limit. So I don't know how much that's really going to gain us. Let's pray maybe Sainz and Gasly fight each other on the restart essentially here on lap number 6, and we can do some decent work on the medium tyres there. But our engineer for some reason saying that's our first of 2 pit stops here today. I don't know what on earth he's smoking. I think he may have been joined by Claire on the pit wall potentially if that's the case. But yeah, no, we won't be making a second pit stop, Jeff. At least not for dry tyres. For the wets, fine. If he's foreseeing that, fair enough, but I think he literally means he wants us to pit for a second set of dries, which I don't understand, of course. Ignoring Jeff's idiocy, the undercut has worked wonders here. Sainz is way back from us there, so I really did not think we gained that much time under the virtual safety car, but I guess we really did then. Those few seconds, even so, made the difference, and then on the very next lap then, so we've got 2 laps of undercut on Gasly. Let's see where he comes out. He could potentially, unfortunately, fall behind Carlos Sainz, because the undercut is very powerful here at Catalonia, and the team have put on the hard tyres for Pierre Gasly. I'm very sure that was not his decision, because no person in their right mind will put on the hard tyres at any Grand Prix, really, to be honest, but especially not this one. In this situation, there is no need for the hard tyres. I think our team is slowly losing their marbles. I think that is what we're witnessing right here. They've built a great car at the start of the season, and as we progress through this season, they seem to be getting dumber and dumber with the decisions, the upgrades, the things they're saying on the pit wall. It's all making sense now. It's all adding up. It's all adding up. So now with this, we're in a very decent P5 position. As we go through these first few turns, you can hear the engineer talking about Hulkenberg having an issue on their car. So they're going to be slow, and so that's going to be a free P4 for us there. So that's why I put the car into none ERS mode and lean mixture, in fact, as we overtake Hulkenberg. No need to stress the engine or the ERS. There's a massive gap ahead of Hulkenberg, so I feel like P4 may be the most we can get today, but that will be a very lofty position considering we started in P14. Round the outside we go, and it's a very easy move there. But I must say, also another reason why I was in non-ERS there so early on, for some reason, I don't know what's going on, the engine has not felt as great this episode for some reason. Baku is flying, you know, fuel wasn't an issue, ERS was an issue at Baku, deployment was good, we could save a lot of charge, but this race, for some reason, we're losing so much of it in Sector 1 and 2, that I'm having to save so much in Sector 3.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the softs.
Are you actually kidding? Okay, that just confirms to you people at home that when he first told me about the quote-unquote second pit stop we're meant to be making in this Grand Prix of 17 laps, of 10 of which we've done, he does in fact mean a second pit stop for dry tyres. These are honestly live scenes from the Williams pit wall with Jeff looking at the strategy. Right, so it's Jeff here. I know you're about 2/3 of the way through your race, and you've already made the one pit stop that's going to get you to the end, but we feel a second pit stop could be the better strategy here. If we manage to undercut everyone this second pit stop, trust me, lad, that undercut is going to win you the Grand Prix. And I know what you're thinking. One, that's an absolutely horrendous strategy, and number two, yes, we did run out of budget for the team kit. We've had to borrow Toro Rosso's from last year. But back to the more pressing matter at hand then in this race. Carlos Sainz is hounding us here in this last bit of the Grand Prix. As the clouds descend, the rain might be coming, but it's getting quite late in the Grand Prix. And instead, this is a battle of Britain, it would appear, between McLaren and Williams. And Sainz is going to make a massive dive on the outside. He's done so well to get it along. We're neck and neck now, literally. The tyres lining up as we go over the curb. Sainz so close to hitting us with his front left side of the front wing. We give him some room. Again, we're saving ERS as we have done the entire time in Sector 3 here, so that's allowing him to maybe get a little bit better run at us there. We're going to go for this switchback move at the chicane from the left to right there, get it to the inside, get the power down earlier, hot lap mode now on the main straight there, open up the taps with overtake mode and DRS there to try and pull away, but some really tasty action there. Sainz 2 times there, made some massive dives. First that left-hander at the initial part, first part of the Sector 3, and then again into just before the chicane there, so Sainz getting really feisty, obviously. Kind of makes sense at his home Grand Prix. So here he comes again on the second last lap of the Grand Prix. We squeeze him to the right, but he doesn't blink at all. He's kept it to the inside. There we go, the long way round the inside for the next corner there, and it's such fine margins, but he's got the better line for turn 3. We cut in, but we have to shimmy a little bit on the steering wheel to give him the room there. Otherwise, that would have been a smack bang between our front right and the front left tyre there, and that might have been an instant. I mean, you saw earlier, Sebastian Vettel completely sheared off his tyres. I don't want to tempt fate once again, like was the case in Season 2. We've got a massive paddock-wide issue with very weak front suspension arms, so didn't want to take the chance there in Sector 3. Instead, we continue to chase him down here with these lovely aerial shots. You can see really wringing the neck out of this car and taking every inch of this circuit we can get to try and overtake Sainz, and we're going to go to the inside despite Sainz really not wanting to give up the position there on the left-hand side. We keep it through and keep our bottle, and we're up into P4 once again of this Grand Prix. We now move to the last lap of the GP then, and Sainz once again has a look, and this time he has a great run to the inside there, the high speed chicane left and right up the hill now, still neck and neck there. It's going to be side by side through the nearly flat out right hand, and we're going to squeeze him right out, and that's going to invite Pierre Gasly, our teammate, and also Lando Norris. Gasly gets very aggressive there with Lando Norris to kind of push him out there. The hard tyres maybe coming through a little bit, but can he go around the outside? No, he can't. Gasly, I almost thought he could have maybe got Carlos Sainz at the end there for a late move and overtake there as the medium tyres wear out. The hard tyres finally come through, but we're on the last lap, remember, so for some reason the weather indicator was complete. Actually, I say somehow, let's be real though, the Williams team probably don't even have a weather radar of sorts. They just use the BBC weather app. So nevertheless, minus the rain, we come home in a very decent P4 position.
We stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
Achieved what we asked. Achieved what you were going to ask me. You'd asked me, apparently, that I was going to definitely get P4 from P14. Okay, Jeff. Okay.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
You know, we were cutting our way through the field, not really due to the aero though, as we didn't really have a grip that anyone else had out there, because we had negative grip at some points in that Grand Prix, it felt like, but we still made it work. We always do.
You're leading the championship. Are you happy to be there or feeling the pressure?
Oh, well, everyone else will be feeling the pressure, to be honest, because I think it's frankly embarrassing that we are leading the way in a Williams car. So there you go.
You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you?
Oh, you know, the team is more than the sum of its parts, and when we work together, it is magical. It's also magical because the team never works together, it seems. So when it does happen, it literally truly is a magical moment.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So there we have it. As you might have guessed there from that interview, we are now in the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 2 measly points over Sebastian Vettel. They're 2 DNFs in a row for the Germans. Been a very tough time for him at Baku and Spain. In the Constructors, we still tail end Ferrari by somewhat there, but of course, it's still early days. Only 5 rounds in, and even with the Drivers' Championship, I'm not taking anything for granted right now. I'm not even thinking about the championship. We take this race by race. You've seen we've had such a topsy-turvy season season. So much chaos, and there's only more chaos to come, I'm sure, when we go through to the next few rounds there. It's a very uncertain time in Formula 1 in real life, and in the virtual world, it's, you know, an unknown. We're stabbing the dark here in Season 3 of The Road to Glory, so we're not gonna rest on our laurels or think about anything quite yet there. But what we are going to think about are upgrades at the end of this episode. We can actually now fix, unfortunately, the failure on the chassis side, so that's very annoying to fix that failure, so waste some points on rebuying that upgrade. But we're also going to go ahead and actually go back to the engine side, because like I said, the engine for some reason did not feel that great that episode. The fuel was coming out of that car very quickly. I had to actually go and lean mixture quite a few times in the last sector just to get some fuel back for rich mix in the last sector off the final corner. So we're going to go ahead and purchase another fuel efficiency upgrade there. To be fair, we've actually got quite a decent way to go still with the engine on the fuel side of things there, and I think we should go back to the tried and tested, merited route of just ploughing all the development into the engine side of things and worrying about everything else later. But that was a very action-packed Spanish Grand Prix. I mean, Baku was as well, but in a different sense. So nice to get an action-packed one with actual racing on show instead of just crashing galore there and absolute implosion by the entire Formula 1 grid. That was some great racing out there, so hopefully you guys enjoy that as well. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.